The old mansion loomed on the hill. Gray and imposing, it was always shrouded in mist. Locals whispered tales, stories of strange lights and eerie sounds. No one dared to go near, not after dark anyway. 10-year-old Leo loved a good mystery. He'd heard the whispers, seen the way people avoided even looking at the mansion. He knew something was different about that house, and he was determined to find out what. One foggy afternoon, Leo decided to be bold. He told his parents he was going to the park, but instead, he took a detour that led him straight to the foot of the hill, to the mist-wreathed gates of the mansion. He took a deep breath. The air felt heavy, different. He pushed open the creaking gate and stepped onto the overgrown path. The adventure had begun. The path wound its way through gnarled trees. The fog seemed to press in, muffling all sounds but the beating of Leo's heart. As he climbed, he noticed something strange. Tiny lights like fireflies danced around him. He reached out. The lights danced away, then returned, swirling playfully. They weren't fireflies, he realized. These lights pulsed with an inner glow. He felt strangely drawn to them, as if they wanted him to follow. He continued up the path, the lights leading the way. The fog began to thin, revealing the mansion in all its eerie glory. It was even bigger than Leo had imagined, with tall dark windows that seemed to watch him like eyes. He reached the top of the hill and stood before the massive oak door. Hesitantly, he raised his hand and knocked 3 times. The sound echoed through the silence. He waited. And then, he heard it. A faint sound from inside, a sound like laughter. The heavy oak door creaked open as if inviting him in. Leo hesitated, his heart pounding. He peeked inside. The foyer was dark, lit only by a sliver of moonlight from a high window. Dust motes danced in the air. He took a tentative step inside. The air felt cold, still. He could hear the faint echo of his own breathing, and something else, a soft whispering that seemed to come from the walls themselves. He strained to hear. The whispers were faint but definitely there. They seemed to be calling his name. Leo. Leo. He felt a chill run down his spine. Who was there? He took another step, then another. He was drawn deeper into the mansion. The whispers grew louder, urging him on. He had to find the source. He had to know who was calling him. He followed the whispers down a long, shadowy hallway. The portraits on the walls seemed to watch him with knowing smiles. He passed a grand staircase, its steps covered in cobwebs. At the end of the hall, he found a door slightly ajar. Light spilled out from the room beyond. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was a library, its shelves overflowing with books. A fire crackled merrily in the fireplace, casting dancing shadows on the walls. And seated in a large armchair, a book in her lap, was an old woman. She smiled at Leo, her eyes twinkling. "Hello, dear," she said. "I've been expecting you." Leo stared at her, speechless. Who was she? And how did she know his name? He took a step closer, his curiosity overcoming his fear. How did you know I was coming?" he stammered. The old woman chuckled softly. "This old house has its ways," she said, winking at him. She gestured to the bookshelves. "We've been waiting for you, Leo. This house you see is full of stories." Leo looked around, his eyes widening. The books on the shelves seemed to glow with their own inner light. He reached out and took one down. As his fingers brushed the cover, he felt a strange energy surge through him. "This mansion," the old woman continued, "is a place where stories come to life. And you, Leo, you have a gift for seeing the magic in everything." She smiled at him, her eyes full of warmth. "So welcome, Leo. Welcome to the Mansion of Stories." And as Leo gazed around at the magical library, he knew this was no ordinary house. This was a place where anything was possible, a place where his own adventures were just beginning.